Hey, Michael.
Hey, Rick. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
You did a great job today, buddy.
Thank you.
Made this very easy for the review.
That was the goal.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that other advisory boards can do the same.
Okay. Whoever is on the line right now with the identifier NJL iPhone, could you identify yourself, please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can.
This is Nathan Luckout with Prism Construction.
Nathan Luckout, Luckow.
Nailed it.
Okay. And kind of looking around. All right. I think we have a quorum. Not 100% sure if we're going to get joined by anybody, but it is a little after 6, so we can go ahead and get started and just identify whether or not any other members show up. This is the call to order for the West University Historic Zone Advisory Board meeting of December 12th? No.
10.
10th, thank you. Sorry, it's been one of those days. And it is 6:02 p.m. And do a quick roll call. Sarah Fajardo.
Here.
James Glock.
Present.
Rick McDonald, present. Lou Specknagel.
Here.
And I see Greg Stoner joining us right now. Greg, why don't you turn on your audio and just say present?
Present.
Okay. So we're missing Rachel and Damon. If they join, we'll go ahead and recognize them when that happens. So we have a quorum. Item number 2 on the agenda, the LAR from November 12th. Has everybody had a chance to look at that? And can I have a motion to accept?
This is Jim Glock, so moved.
Second.
I'll second. Second.
Oh, thank you, Greg. All in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
2,
Aye.
3, 4, and
Aye.
aye. Sarah, you good? Sarah, you're on mute. Do you approve the LAR?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Motion carries 0. All right. Thank you. Moving along, item 3, call to the audience. Michael, do we have any call to the audience?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. Very good. All right, that gets us to the heart of the reviews. Item 4 on the agenda, starting with item A, SD 0524-00049, 901 North 3rd Avenue, bathroom addition with conversion of an existing storage to an ADU. Who will be speaking for that? Michael, do we not have the applicant?
We're supposed to be here. Who was this? We can go to the second case if they show up. The applicant for the second case is here.
Okay. So we'll move to item B on the agenda. SD 0123, 925 North Third Avenue. And who will be speaking for that?
I'm the homeowner. I'm also joined on the call by my wife. This is Susan.
Hi, Stacy. Hi, Susan.
I also have on the call the architect, Bill Ford. I want to say hi, Bill.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
And then the builders, Adam and Nathan Luckow.
And
Who's going to do the presentation?
I'm going to lead the presentation. I have my slides queued up here. If you can enable the share screen.
What's your name again, sir?
My name is Stacy Cochran.
Oh, Stacy. Okay.
How are you, Michael?
I am okay.
It's good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Are we ready?
yep. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
you should be good to go.
Okay. So let me try to put this in the slideshow format and see if that works. Can you guys see the slides?
yes.
Okay.
I can see him.
So I've kind of broken this presentation down into three parts. First, just an introduction of what we're proposing very briefly, and then the precedents in the development zone, then the current status of this project, and then I want to show some pictures of the area for the proposed addition. So this is a proposed coach house to be built on the west end of our lot at 925 North 3rd Avenue. We did, as a matter of record, have a courtesy meeting about 3 years ago about this when Jody was the officer with the city. And the guidance that we got at that point was pretty minimal. So I finally am in a position to move this forward formally, and I thank Michael for his help in getting us to this point with the HPZ review, and I'm grateful to all the board members who are here. So this is the property at 925 North 3rd Avenue. The proposed coach house is up here. This is looking westward or slightly westward. And then this would be the Hoff Avenue end. And again, I've got photos throughout. As I said, I want to go through the precedents first in the development zone. So some of the precedents that we have in our development zone include the property, interestingly enough, at 901 North 3rd Avenue, which was on the docket for tonight. That's a friend of ours, a close neighbor of ours, who has a home at our proposed height for the coach house. Also directly across the street and also in our development zone is the house at 503 East 2nd Street at the proposed height of our coach house. Moving forward, here's a kind of Google Earth aerial view of what we were just looking at in direct overhead a moment ago. So this is my property down here with the solar panels. The area to be under construction would be on the west end of the lot. So we're looking eastward. This is the property at 503 East 2nd. That's at our height, as well as the one at 901 North 3rd Avenue. That's at our height. Forward with this. Just another view of the precedents, and then in addition to what I have just mentioned already, the 901 3rd Avenue. This is our property here, and as you can see, this is the house with the solar panels, and this is the area that's undeveloped at present, and I've got some photographs to show in a moment about that. The other thing to add is that there is also a coach house precedent in our development zone at 920 North 3rd Avenue. So this is directly across 3rd Avenue from our property. And this coach house, I have some photographs of. It was built in 2006 behind the primary residence, which is located here. So moving forward, here's a Google Earth view of that existing coach house, which was built in 2006. at 920 North Third Avenue. And then this is looking across towards my property at 925 North Third Avenue. And so again, a couple of or three precedents, I guess, both in terms of height and in terms of a coach house addition that was built in the last 20 years. So as I said, I wanted to start with the precedents and then talk about where we're at currently with this project, and then kind of show some pictures of the area to be developed for the coach house. So this is the design plans drawn up by architect Bill Ford, who is on the call and can take questions, of course. And what you can see here is the primary residence. This is Third Avenue. This is Hoff Avenue. And the initial plan was to put in a pool area because that would be really hard to do after the coach house was built. And so the first step was to put in our pool. And then what I'd like to do is create kind of a bridge between the primary residence and the coach house, as you can see in these illustrations by Bill here. Moving forward, so this was the original design plans by Omni Pool Builders. A couple of notes about this: we did not put in this shade awning over here on the north end of the property. We did put in the pool decking and the actual swimming pool. And so our first step was to build the pool to create kind of a courtyard space that I was calling a kinesthetic bridge between the primary residence and the coach house to be built. So these are actual photographs of the pool, now completed. It was completed in 2022. Looking back at the primary residence here. So this is looking eastward. So finally, the area to be built on is on the west end of the lot. So these are two photographs of the west end of the lot. Currently, the space is primarily serving a purpose of parking. It's kind of a worn out parking pad. But that's primarily what we've been using it for. So the coach house would be built in this area on the west end of the lot. That's all from my slides. If anybody has any questions about any particular slide or anything else, we're happy to take questions.
Stacy, when you say that's all your slides, that's literally all? Do we have, can we talk? Do you have elevations and dimensions of and renderings of the actual coach house?
Yes, there's a PDF link in the slides here. I can share that in the chat.
Yeah, link to the agenda items were just these drawings. I think there's only 5 slides, none of the visuals. It's just, I believe, the architect's drawings. That's what's linked in on the website for us to reference.
Yes, what's the question? I posted the link over in the chat. Hopefully you all can access that.
We actually,
No,
we cannot do that.
Mr. Chair, point of correction. Stacy, the plans that you submitted to the city that are posted was what we received. What you are presenting now, I got that email today, which was kind of late for me to send it to the board. Plans are,
but it's what you sent was fine, but we need, I think the link you're trying to send us, we need to actually have that on the display. And Stacy, for your benefit, I mean, the meeting requirements that we have for a public meeting can't allow us to look in the chat room at all for anything. We have to have a public review where everybody that's on the Zoom call can see the same thing and have the same discussion at the same time. So if it's possible to get the architectural drawings pulled up, either you or Bill or someone, that would be probably the way to go.
That'd be great.
I'm looking right now in my files here to see if I can find them.
Okay.
If you give me a minute. was under the impression that these drawings had all of the elevations, so let me just see here.
Well, that's what was submitted, right?
I'm looking at the elevations by following the link in the agenda.
All right, let's see what I've got here. So I'm looking at my set of drawings right now, and what I've got is a site plan. I've got a floor plan of the garage, floor plan of the main floor, got a cross section. I've got 4 elevations.
Right.
I've got
That's
the views
actually what I
of
think
the-
was in the link, the agenda.
Yeah, that was supposedly what was submitted.
Right.
So
And that's
if
what
you
we need to
see
review.
those right now. I can share screen and show those.
Yeah, that's actually what we need to review.
So
I mean,
let me-
actually, the stuff Stacy showed, we need to look at as well. I don't mean to say it the way I just did, but we need to see, Bill, what you're talking about and what was in the link.
Okay,
Bill, I'll make you the co-host so you can share those.
okay. Okay, I'm gonna, you want me to go ahead and share screen now?
Hold on,
I'm still disabled, yeah.
you're good to go.
But
Yeah, I have
It's
that
like-
as well.
I don't understand.
Bill, you can share your screen now.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, can you see that?
I believe this is what I sent to the board.
This looks more like what we got.
Yeah, this is the 4 elevations. South, north, west, east. Just showing, a compatible looking structure. It's going to be built out of cinder block, I think. I hope, anyways. It'll be fairly compatible. We're not intending for it to be like anachronistically correct, just to be compatible. The height, we feel we have precedence in the very small limited development zone that has been allotted us. However, there are many precedents in the immediate neighborhood, some of which are very poorly done. So we feel that this is going to be an example of an upgraded structure that's really going to add a lot of value to West University neighborhood. And I think it will be well appreciated.
Can you do me a favor? I can't quite read that, Bill, without blowing it up. What's the height of the building, finished height?
I'll get it for you
25?
in a second here. 25 foot 6 inches.
25.6.
That can be tweaked to 25 if you need it.
No, now I'm going to ask you, because it wasn't in the drawing package that was submitted, what the height of the primary residence is.
I think it's, do you know, Stacy, is it 17
Yeah.
feet?
No, it's 23.
It's 23.
That's correct.
I vaguely remember this, I think from your courtesy review. Do you have, who did the renderings? Bill, did you do the renderings of those?
Yeah, my computer program did those. I set it up. So I guess I did it.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we talked about in the courtesy review was the mass of the coach house compared to the mass of the main residence, and that's one of the things. But I know there's precedent for structures as tall as this one, but kind of curious about, because I didn't see it in the renderings from the street, what that coach house looks like. In other words, does the mass of the coach house impose itself on the main residence?
It does, well, there's two questions there from the main street out on Third or from Hoff? In either.
No, the main street on
Okay.
Third.
So from out on Third, it will not even be seen because of
Yeah.
the height of the primary residence and because the primary residence is wider from north to south on the lot than the coach house. Especially if you compare it to the precedent that I showed at 920 directly across the street, which is a coach house that's significantly higher than their primary residence. Ours will be much more compatible and quite frankly, just aesthetically beautiful.
Yeah.
It's going to be the crown jewel of Third Avenue north of University.
If you look at the site plan that I have up right now,
Yeah.
and if you look at the label of Third Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
just imagine standing there as a pedestrian and imagining grade level being at the bottom of the site plan here, which is about where the house starts. The house is 28 feet wide, and taking a straight line from, say, not quite through the whole house, but say at the 25-foot point, you can see by the time you get past the pool, your cone of vision is probably going to be about 35 to 40 feet in the air. So it's going to be very difficult. Where the roof slopes down, you might be able to see little parts of it. But it's Stacy's house is one of those houses that's blessed with rather grand proportions to begin with. West University has examples of those that are, as opposed to my neighborhood, which is Feldman's, which the proportions are smaller. So I think the grandness of this house is going to be maintained from those vantage points on Third Avenue. Hoff is another story, but I don't think that's.
I'm not concerned about Hoff. I'm really asking with regard to how the front elevation is impacted, the view from Third.
It will not appear like, say, a structure on First Avenue where you see the 13-story megadorms over the roofs. It won't be quite like that. But my professional opinion is it will have a very small, if any, impact to Third Avenue.
Right. Okay. All right. If you don't mind, then Bill, going back to the elevations.
Let's go.
Rick, is there somewhere in here that we discuss materials, the type of windows, the type of shingles?
I was going to go there next, Sarah.
Okay,
for
thank
bringing
you.
that up. Yeah, that's why I wanted to go back to these.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you kind of walk us through now what we're proposing here? As Sarah said, the things we're going to be curious about are materials. You mentioned that it might be CMU for the building, but I assume stuccoed over that. It looks like some double hung windows, but if you can just kind of walk us through the windows, the doors, the materials for the railings on the balconies, etc., that would be great.
Okay, so you want me to do this, Stacy?
Yes, please. And I can add in as
Okay.
needed. One thing to add too about the elevation, the actual build elevation in relation to Third Avenue is higher than Third Avenue. I don't know how much you guys walk up and down Third Avenue or know the space, but the actual street level is about 3 feet lower than the property elevation. So just adding to what Bill was saying a moment ago, the visibility of this structure behind a rather large primary residence, it's going to be impossible to see it because the street level is actually 3 to 4 feet lower than the actual lot line of the primary residence too. So just bear that in mind, but take it over.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Stacy.
So basically, the structure just reflects and mirrors some of the shapes and forms that are, found in the immediate area. The roof is a shingle, right? High definition type shingle, dark color, likely just to match the existing shingles. The walls are frame and stucco, and we're hoping to have that stucco over CMU, not frame. So that's the budgetary goal. The doors are barn style, wood expression. Facing the house, we're looking to have more of a modern looking rail system, cable rails. And that's pretty much it. There's some detail articulation.
Well, let's start with just, I'll throw out a few questions and then the other board members can join in. Let's just start with the north elevation, upper left-hand corner. I see two what appear to be either single hung or double hung windows. And what are they made of, the windows?
The windows are going to be made out of either clad wood or fiberglass. I don't know what the current ruling is on windows in an HPZ, but we're thinking that anything that looks like painted wood is going to be acceptable.
Yeah, so clad wood is an easy yes. If you go into a composite material, then we're going to need to see the cut sheets on the windows and things, because some composites are okay and some aren't. That's more of a case by case thing. But clad wood is a definite is allowed.
Okay.
So if you haven't made a decision and you are willing to commit to clad wood, then that helps the process here.
Well, they're noted as clad wood, so I don't have a problem staying with that decision.
That sounds good to me.
And then the window, again, on the north elevation, is that like a bathroom window or something? The little one that's on the second floor?
That
That is correct. That is a bathroom window.
So is that likewise same construction, clad wood to match? And is the glass, since it's a bathroom, is it just regular glass, frosted glass?
I think at that height you have your choice, Stacy, for privacy.
Yeah, whatever is compatible, whatever you guys say, Richard, is optimal. Let's make a note of that and add it to our revisions.
I think we would like to have, for sure, we'd like to have the window material, the frame and whatnot be the same clad wood, which probably is what you're already calling out. I don't know. I don't know if we have, open up to the board. I don't know if we have a real strong opinion on whether it's clear glass or frosted glass for that. I don't think I think our guidelines are silent.
I just know that some of the board members don't like the glass block, but I don't remember anybody saying anything about frosted windows.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. For block, we definitely wouldn't, but this is just essentially a clear story window. I'm not sure we care what the glass.
But given the height, I don't know why it would matter. I can't imagine anybody could see in there anyway.
Yeah.
Not my bathroom though.
Yeah, I'd be fine with clear glass.
Okay.
The only,
It's
yeah.
going to be easier for you to get clear glass, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
And then I'm not clear on the north elevation what I'm looking at in the upper right-hand corner of the elevation. not left-hand, right-hand, yeah, there, I can't tell what am I seeing there?
That's that's the open end of the porch. There's a porch deck up there.
Oh,
Okay.
oh,
Okay,
okay.
so the two
Yeah, it's a small
vertical
corner
lines that I
porch.
see is a structure on the other side of the porch? Is that kind of looking through the porch?
That's the
Here.
doorway into the kitchen.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Oh,
kitchen.
that's what that is, okay. Okay. And then on the left side, looks like there's another porch, and I think you said cable railing, Bill?
We're looking to have that private exposure to be modern.
Mm-hmm,
So, nobody's going to be able to see any of that except for Stacy. So we'd like to, kind of take advantage of a little bit of modern expression there facing the pool
yeah,
with the cable railing and a larger window off the living room.
okay, I don't, okay. I think we've allowed that kind of stuff before on accessory buildings. There is a degree to which we want the accessory building to not try and pretend it's a historic building, right? So some of these little features you're talking about are probably, kind of nice additions. On the north elevation, does anyone else on the board have a question? We could move on to the south elevation.
So very quickly, the two vertical elements we see on the west corner porch outside the kitchen are supports?
Those here,
Yes.
their door jams.
It's
Oh,
door jams.
oh,
It's a door.
beyond. Okay, got it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you're kind of looking through.
No, I got it now. Thank you. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah, so
Okay.
when you look, if you go back to the, see down here, you can see it. You'll
Yeah.
get a feeling of depth, and you'll see doors, and
Yeah.
you'll see a
No,
door.
I totally understand now. I just
Mhm.
I don't look
Right.
at plans every day, so I need to be slapped upside the head on occasion. Thank you.
Okay, south elevation. Same thing, wood clad windows. And I forgot, did you say they were single hung, double hung? We're okay with either. I'm just wanting to know.
I haven't explored what's actually available with the manufacturer that Stacy's going to choose. I mean, it could be Milgard, it could be Marvin, it could be Hurt, it could be a number of different suppliers. You probably don't allow vinyl, but I don't
We do
know.
not allow vinyl, but if you're going with wood clad, we're good. And whether it's single hung, double hung, and actually, to be honest with you, even if it's non-functional, as long as it looks like, that's fine.
Okay.
What's called out on the drawing?
The drawing calls out a double hung wood clad window
Yeah.
per
So
HPZ guidelines.
correct. So I'm saying you could do this or that, and I guess now to back up and be more specific, you're presenting a set of drawings to the board. We can approve these, or you can say, well, now that we've talked about it, I'd like to change them, in which case, there's an iteration that's required. So if you're good with what's on the drawing, that makes it easier for us because we can say, given what's on the drawing, we can approve that.
Yes, please. I'm good with
Yeah.
what's on the drawing.
Yeah. Okay. So the window schedule for all four of those windows on the south elevation, this is a question, is the same, correct? Same windows,
Yes.
same dimensions as drawn. Okay, same cable railing on the porch on the second floor. And again, it's the building, whether it's CMU or frame, it's stuccoed on the exterior, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, for the south elevation, does the board have any other questions? Okay. West elevation, so now we're on the Hoff Alley side. What is the window schedule call out there? Those look like shorter windows, but again, otherwise the same type of window as the other elevations. Is that what's on the drawing?
Same type of window.
Okay. Doors, garage doors are, tell me about those. Are those roll-up doors or what are they?
Let's read it here. Number
What does
9.
it say on the drawing is what I'm asking, yeah.
So the drawings call it a rustic barn style garage door to be selected by the owner. Something, I put that on Stacy. But something nice, I mean, I don't, we're showing a pattern, which I haven't done enough research to determine whether or not we can replicate that exact pattern. But I would be looking at something, probably whatever the window trim is, to reflect that color and to maybe to reflect like a barn type of imagery. If the board doesn't have a preference and can give us latitude on that, we would take it. But if you have to have an exact spec, then we'll have to make it look like a barn door.
Yeah, Richard, what's the board's preference on the roll up?
I don't know, any comments from board members on the garage doors?
I'll opine a little bit. I have seen roll-up doors that can mimic the appearance that you're proposing. They're segmented, so there'll be horizontal seams in the final product, but the 100-foot view would look pretty much like what you're proposing. To not use a standard roll-up door of that appearance is because I chose to do that on my carport, is very, very difficult. So I think, and you can go, and in fact on First Street and 6th Avenue, Carl Zimmerman's home has doors very similar to this in their roll-up, and they look fine. So I think that, I don't know how Rick may want me to, or if whomever makes the motion, we need to get any clearer, but I just say roll-up doors that appear as shown in plans is acceptable, I think, and we shouldn't necessarily get too far into the weeds on it. So, because
Well, I do have another question, Jim. Is the board amenable to just to a totally solid, horizontally slatted door that's the color of the trim? Is that an acceptable option?
So, in that case, I could show you bad examples and good examples. I think the appearance that you're showing can easily be mimicked with the roll-up door. You're not going to have to bear any undue engineering costs or whatnot. Beyond that, what I think I find appealing, and again, it's not historic, it's just appealing, are the instead of stamped aluminum painted stuff is, the kind of rusticated metal things that you'll see on, let's say Herbert, south of
We have them in the
University.
neighborhood, yeah.
But regardless, a roll-up door is certainly acceptable. And the bad examples are the ones where it's just the painted metal with the kind of fake wood look to them and stuff like that. Don't go there.
I would discourage Stacy from doing that.
Yeah. So what's easier for us and for you, it's not so much that we're hung up necessarily on the pattern you're showing us on this drawing of the west elevation, but we're kind of in a situation similar to what the city has to do, where you've given us a set of drawings and we can say, yes, I agree with this, or no, I don't. To write up a here are all the things you could do becomes problematic for the board. There are a lot of other options that are available to you that would be fine. And as Jim said, unfortunately, there are a few options that would fit the same description. If I just said roll-up door, that would be terrible. So I'm trying to.
So Rick, if I might,
Yeah.
A roll-up door can be easily made to mimic the pattern shown without undue financial burden to the.
How about a similar pattern show?
What word did I use?
You just said a pattern, the pattern shown. I'm thinking.
Oh, I thought I saw a similar pattern, but
no.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking similar pattern.
Thank you.
And any other board member comments or concerns about the garage doors or anything else about the west elevation?
I second what Jim just said.
Okay, cool. And the material, again, if it's wood, that's kind of, pricey. You probably don't want to do that, but there's a lot of metals that mimic wood that I think look fine from a distance, and you're in the alley.
I would certainly try and help Stacy find something that looks like it belongs to West University and doesn't look like a stamped aluminum door. But I didn't think of it, but in my experience, I've done solid panel doors with rustic painted metal that also looks very compatible.
And we have those in the neighborhood as well, Bill.
And they're sometimes easier to find and easier to deal with. So what would be the process if we just wanted to use a simple rustic colored solid panel door?
Well, if Stacy's okay with it, in the motion that we make for this project, we can just codify that in the motion, and then that's that.
Okay.
I am okay with that, as is Susan. She was saying that she really likes that idea.
Okay, I'm going to try to do something goofy here, if I might.
You may. You always do, so that's cool.
All right, let's see if I can. Here is the door.
It's got a little reflection.
All right, how does that look? This is the door on First Street west of 6th Avenue. This is a roll-up door.
Mm-hmm.
Susan,
You can do what the door you're proposing that will look like this. This is a roll-up door. It's made of metal. It's not heavy.
And Jim, that door it's facing first, right?
It's north facing on First Street, just west of 6th Avenue, and there's two of them.
Yep, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Okay, so the challenge will be, how do we I think again, it goes back to my original suggestion, is that a roll-up door with a similar pattern as presented is acceptable, and you guys, similar allows for it to look exactly what I'm showing you right now, so you know they exist.
I love it. It looks beautiful, Jim.
Okay.
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 All right. Any other comments on the west elevation from the board? Okay, east elevation.
Should we ask about the fencing material both on east and west?
Yeah, I was going to get to the fencing after the elevations, but we can certainly just bring that up now because I think that's somewhere in the drawing package, right?
The venting?
Fencing.
The
Bill.
Oh,
fencing.
fencing.
I would prefer to use the similar fencing to what we have. That said, this past monsoon season was pretty brutal on our fencing, which is probably a good 25 or 30 years old at this point. And so the fencing is going to need to be replaced around the entire back part of the property. We just got a letter, in fact, yesterday from our neighbor asking to have the fencing repaired. So I wanted to see how this HPZ review would go, as that's going to be an additional cost. But my preference would be to use the same style of fencing that we currently have on the property, which is cedar.
Grapeseed.
Oh, the cedar plank.
Yes.
Is the fencing part of our review tonight? I wasn't sure I was clear on that. Michael, that may be to you. And Michael, you're on mute.
It is well stated on the agenda that they're talking about windows, they're talking about the fencing, they're talking about the
Okay.
garage door. The
So what is
pool head.
called? Okay, so what is called out on the drawing? Thank you, Michael. So what is called out on your drawings for the fencing?
I don't believe I called anything out. I think it's
Yeah.
just drawn because there's an existing fence and it's not showing. Oh, oh no, it's wrapping. Okay. It's wrapping right here.
A question for the board on the fencing. I'm a fan of privacy in that backyard, especially with the pool. While the expense would be significantly higher, since we're having this conversation and I'm kind of paying for the conversation as part of this review, do you guys have strong preference about a concrete wall or brick wall in contrast to the cedar fencing that we currently?
Yeah. No, I mean, so our guidelines are have a variety of materials that can be allowed, and a height up to 6 feet of solid material, and then you are allowed non-solid material above that, like a trellis. But we have examples throughout the neighborhood of the fencing around my yard is CMU with stucco over it, and there's a lot of examples of that. There's brick, there's other materials. I mean, the cedar, I think, is you know, not allowed. It's just not as it doesn't have the durability. I know it's more expensive to do something else. We all appreciate the desire for privacy in the backyard, and the guidelines clearly allow for that. The choice of materials, you know, I think we have some flexibility on it.
So Rick, you're saying that the existing fencing material that they have out there is acceptable to continue around the perimeter?
Yeah, I don't believe we prohibit that in the guidelines. I mean, call me out if I'm wrong, somebody on the board, but I think that particular fencing material he has is acceptable.
Yeah, it may just be a matter of cost, and that would be a conversation with the fence builder and the builder as well. I mean, my preference would be a concrete stuccoed wall.
Yeah,
CMU would be ideal, or brick. I mean, brick's pretty attractive, but I think the stuccoed CMU that is in the same shade and painting of the primary residence and the coach house. To me, it's all about symmetry and balance and making sure everything looks like it's all one cohesive piece.
right. And I will say too, Stacy, like going back to the wall that I have, it is CMU with stucco. The CMU itself is only 4 inches wide. It's not the full 8 inches, so it's not as, you know, imposing. Unfortunately, though, you have to. I mean, we can you can defer from tonight the fencing, And that, I'm gonna give an opinion and then Michael can correct me. Your fencing decision could be made later and done as a different and actually what's called a minor review in most cases. So that you may want, if you want to think about that, because if we approve the wood fence, then you can't come back and do a masonry fence unless you do a re-review. If you want to wait a little bit and do it as a minor review where you don't have to get in front of the whole board later, then, and that may not be in your critical path anyway, I'm sure the building itself is in your critical path. That's an option you have.
I appreciate that clarity. Yeah, I would say for now, let's stay with the cedar fencing, and if it's in our budget to upgrade to CMU stucco fencing, I would just put forward a minor review at a later date.
Okay. Okay. Lou, does that answer your question about the fencing?
Yeah, I just didn't see it called out, and I only see the steel railing called out, I guess, for the stairs. So I was
Right.
just curious why it was represented but not.
Is that true though? That it's not on the drawing, the cedar fence? It's just drawn, it's not shown on the drawing?
It is not noted as cedar. It is just,
No, it's just not
it
called
is
out.
drawn with the
specified
assumption that it
to
would
it.
just match what's there.
I'm sorry, Bill, what is, you say it's called out to match what's there?
No, I'm saying that I didn't specify it. I was just
Oh.
assuming to myself that it would just match what is already there. So that is not, I don't believe it is. I'm looking, but I don't recall it.
Okay. Well, you know, since the fence is part of tonight's review for, you know, what Michael had mentioned earlier, we need to have the material called out. Now, we can in the motion say that it, you know, this fencing is approved, but the drawing needs to be updated to reflect the material, cedar. And that's fine, so we don't have to come back and do it again. But it does need to be called out.
And when you say it needs to be changed to update, I'm sorry, Jim,
No, go ahead, Bill.
to be updated, does that mean when the construction plans are submitted that it just shows up there?
So the city needs to see the construction plans as approved. And we would, if we said that we're going to approve a cedar fence, then the plans need to say cedar fence. But I would also say that, as you may or may not know, after tonight's meeting, you have to get before the Plans Review Subcommittee for Tucson, Pima County. And I would strongly recommend that you have your plans updated prior to getting in front of them, so that the comments from tonight are just reflected in the plans and they can simply say approved as presented.
Mm-hmm.
And do you guys know what the timeline is on that? That would be helpful for me to know.
I'll defer to Michael on that.
At this point in time, no. It will be sometimes in 2025.
Oh,
Yeah, unfortunately,
that's
they-
fine. If I
yeah.
may, my question was, do we have to have that done within 3 months, within 6 months?
Oh, no, you can do it. It will be like the next 2 months. We
Okay,
are working hard on cutting on the time
Yeah.
frame. So this particular review may go to the plans review as early as February of 2025.
beautiful.
It be that the agenda for January, it's full. Plans review meets twice a month. So this particular review, I'm thinking it should be able to be in front of plans review in the month of February, not January.
Yeah, not January,
No.
February,
No.
and more likely March, but I have to get with Bill about that after this meeting.
Right. But it's easier for you guys if when you show these to the Plans Review Subcommittee, that any comments that we have made are already incorporated, right? Because then they can just say, yes, approved.
That makes perfect sense.
So
Okay,
I guess I have a question.
yeah.
Why do we have to deal with the fence tonight?
We have to deal with the fence tonight because we don't have to. That's what I said. We can defer the fence. But if we want the fence included, then it has to be called out.
All right. So, Stacy, Susan, don't include the fence. The fence is something that can be done with a minor review. You're going to be under construction for months and months and months. You have plenty of time to come back to the fence. Don't complicate your process with the fence right now. Just say, we'll kick it down the road.
You have a comment?
That sounds like good advice. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Jim.
So your
We're kind of constrained.
your motion should indicate that the fence was not part of review and that the fence will be considered as a
date.
minor review in the future.
Well,
Correct.
and Michael, just a point of order, the fence wasn't part of the presentation to begin with. So we are extending our review to a fence that wasn't part of what we were asked to consider.
The agenda calls for a fence
The
between.
agenda called for a fence.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. That's not a problem. But I think I'd counsel you to, well, if I were in your situation, I'd put the fence off too. Work it out, figure out what you really want.
Hey, Richard, if I may, I've got a bit of a revision here. Again, some of this is context specific because we got nailed by this monsoon storm in August. And we just got a letter from our next door neighbor who rents out all of his properties to college students right next to us. Susan, did you want to comment on that?
Well, I guess the concern that we had is that we know we need to repair the fence, which would necessitate an additional review unless we have the fencing be part of the review here.
How much repair do you need to do?
Michael, I don't
Because-
believe that they need to have a review to repair a fence in kind.
No, if you're just repairing, if some part of your fence is broken and stuff like that, and you want to just repair a few things here and there, it really does not require anybody coming out for a review per se. When you're erecting a new fence, or if it is completely broken and you want to put up a new fence, it will require a review. But if
Okay.
your fence is standing and just a few items are taken out of it, and you want to just do an in-kind maintenance, I'll consider that as a maintenance. Then you will not actually require a review for that.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, we've had a number of people who have had storm damage, you know, shingles torn off their roof or something like that. We're not making people go back for a review just to repair shingles on a roof. If you're replacing your roof, that's a different story, but.
Exactly.
Okay,
And if the storm that some shingles are falling off and all that, and then you want to come back and just put back those shingles and things like that, we don't make you, that's just maintenance. We don't call you out for that. If you are replacing the whole roof, then that is a different thing.
okay. So we're back to the east elevation. Any other board comments regarding the east elevation? I see we have on the second floor, you've got the, you know, the cable railing. It appears to be a door on the first floor. And again, if I may, back, what is the drawing call out for that? Do I see a call out for the door? What is the call out? What kind of door is that?
You talking about the door at the grade
Ground
level?
floor?
East elevation, first floor. I see a door call out.
What is called out there is a entry style solid panel wood door.
Perfect. Okay. And it looks like on the second floor, I don't see evidence of any windows or doors. I can't tell from the drawing.
Let me zoom in there so you can see it. So note 3, okay. That's actually a very large sliding glass panel door. So all you see is glass.
Sliding glass panel.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not necessarily obvious from the drawing.
It's not obvious from the drawing per se, but it's called, excuse me.
It is called out in note 3.
Called out. Let me just go back to previous view. So note number 3, glass panel, sliding patio door. It's a thin style. To match with the high efficiency glass. Yeah, there's a note that says that the unit is not visible to the street, the door unit. So
Okay.
I was thinking that there may be some objection to a modern window as such, but since it's tucked in a porch that's not visible to the street, I was thinking that it would be acceptable.
All right, let's open that one to the board. Any comments or concerns from the board about the sliding door on the porch up there?
My
I don't
only,
have any.
My only comment was, you're cooling this with air conditioning and you're warming it or a heat pump. And I don't know, I lived in cabins and whatnot with sliding glass doors, and they're not easy to get in and out of. So it's more of it's not a design question, it's more of a functionality question. And so I'd like to give you guys some flexibility to rethink that. I don't think it's the kind of door you want to have. If that's your major entry door in and out of this space,
Yeah.
got your
It's to the
hands full
patio.
of groceries and you want to slide it back and forth. I mean, again, I'm speaking out of turn.
Jim, it's the door on the second floor. It's not the sliding. It's not the door to do your groceries.
Well, we don't see an interior floor plan. I would assume it's,
Oh, well, maybe Bill, you could show us the interior floor plan. I know you have it real quick for Jim's benefit.
Mhm. Okay, so here's the floor plan. In Jim, it is actually correct, but there's a
Oh, Jim is correct. Yeah, yeah.
well, there's a swing door there. I mean, I'd like to have the latitude to kind of design that.
Can you zoom in on that, Bill?
Yeah. Let me just
So real quick, there's no interior stairwell, correct?
No, you're right, Jim.
nothing interior, it's all exterior.
It's all exterior. Oh, I see. So you've got a swing door next to the staircase and a sliding door away from the staircase.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that needs to be designed by a door and window company, and I don't know what Stacy's budget is. We can do, fancy things, but it's really going to depend on what we have available to spend on that unit.
Headset
But I'm
died. So
thinking
my
a
laptop.
swing is going to be part of the program to get in and out.
Yeah, just, from the property owner perspective, one of the things that I was really striving for with that balcony, I'm a writer, some of you guys know this, is I really wanted to create a writing studio space up there on the second floor that looks out on the pool area and the courtyard. And with the balcony, we'll have quite a bit of protection from the sun, especially after about 10 or 11 a.m. as that side is the east facing side of the coach house. I was kind of imagining almost like floor to ceiling glass up there, but I'm open to whatever the board recommends as most compatible.
Can I make a correction, please? I explained it incorrectly. The door swing actually is part of a computer glitch. It's showing the door swing from below. I'm looking at the unit and it's clearly labeled as a 0XX0, which implies that the two outside panels
Slide.
slide, so it is a slider. But we, if you get a premium type of unit, they'll slide very easy. If you don't, they won't. So it's, it really something that if we have some latitude, I'd like to, fine tune that with Stacy.
Okay.
It's something that wasn't intended to really have to meet the historic guidelines because of its location, but something that would require more detailed attention when we produce construction plans.
Right. So Bill, I mean, I understand that. And I'm also, I think the board would agree, this isn't a historic property, it's a new build. So we're not really going to be sticklers for that sort of thing. That said, we have to, in this meeting, we can't just say, put whatever you want there, right? It's got to be, we approve of what you brought, or we approve of your suggestion to do X instead of Y. But having it be open-ended is a little problematic just from a, putting a bow on this point of view.
Can you give us this? There's a dimension there. It's called 14 foot 8 inches that contains an expression, a modern expression of glass in doorway.
Mr. Chair, I think Jim has been putting up his hand for quite some time.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do not have visibility into that. So Jim, yes? Jim?
Again, my goal is to not have to have you return to us,
Yeah.
to grease the skids, get through PRC. And I think Bill's language of having a modern expression of glass and, there's another term you used, glass and entryway.
Yeah, a modern ingress egress expression in that 14 foot 8 inch dimension that we're proposing to fall within that.
Where I'm going with my inquiries is I'm probably going to be the maker of this motion to approve this, and I want to include language that allows you the flexibility to do what you've shown on the drawing, despite my commentary that I don't think you really want to have to slide a door in and out with a handful of groceries, yada, yada, yada. But if you want to, I have a problem with that. But I want you to also have the ability to put in a more functional type of ingress egress. And so I'm trying to find a way to characterize the desire to have an open 4 foot 8 inch wide window space with sliding and or what's the term of phrase I'm looking for? Hinge door ingress egress that meets the client's needs. So
yeah. Swing door, but yeah.
Swing door. Thank you. Swing door.
Also known as French doors if you're trying to get a space that big full, but I don't think they've got the space on the patio for that.
I don't think they do either.
Yeah, and I have, French doors aren't what they want to do. They want to do top to bottom glass, at least from what I'm hearing, which is really kind of cool. I kind of grew up in California with all the modern designs, but sorry. But I think I've got some language that'll give you the flexibility you need, at the same time, meet Rick's desire not to have you have carte blanche. So.
Okay, Jim, when you mentioned a dimension though, did you say 14 foot 8 inches?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that comes from block masonry, but we'll stay with that or smaller.
Sure.
Okay. So if we can go back to the elevations, Bill.
Okay.
Okay, right there. So we've covered the east elevation. I understand a little bit better what the floor plan on the interior of the second floor looks like. We've covered the fence, which I think we're kind of leaning towards saying, let's not do the fence tonight. Give you guys some time to work out what you really want to do. From the board, are there any other things we want to bring up? Any other questions? Just, you know, we've looked at all four elevations. We understand the mass of this building relative to the primary residence. We've understand the materials that are on the drawing for the windows and doors. Any other things we want to pull threads on?
Oh, I'm satisfied.
Okay. All right. Sarah, you good?
Yep, I'm good.
And Lou?
Good.
All right. Okay. Okay. And now the tricky part.
Prepare to attempt a motion.
This is one of Jim's expertise. Okay. I've got my notes. Y'all on the board have yours. Does anyone want to make a motion, Jim?
Before the motion, Mr. Chair, I just want to ask just a general question to the
Yes, sir.
to the architect and the owner. So what is it, what are the main things that in this design you have used to differentiate the new construction from the contributing structure?
That's a great question.
Michael, I think we covered that.
Well,
And
no, let Jim, let that question be answered by Michael's asking for a very specific reason. I like that question.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think Bill put a lot of thought into that when we were originally drawing up these designs. Bill, you want to take that?
And just before you answer, the reason I ask is because in part of the requirement for you to submit is there is a section of the code, UDC section 5.8.9, which requires applicants to go through each of the design guidelines and outline all these. This has not been submitted. And that is why I'm asking you. I asked for it, it was never provided. I still put it through the review anyway. This is something you are going to get at the level of plans review subcommittee. That's why I'm asking you here.
Michael, if I might apologize for my outburst, please accept it. It was uncalled for. My
Thank you, Jim.
apologies.
That's okay. So I'm just saying this, just so you know, even if you don't answer it here, until you submit that to me, I'm not going to put it through the plans review subcommittee. I just put it through this only because this has been in the pipeline for so long. I know you've gone through the courtesy review, it's been trailing. I asked for that. You never submitted. The review fees for this review has not even been paid. Okay, those are things that are really supposed to be done before even you get to the review stage. So my question was just, it's a heads up for you. If you are prepared for it, you can answer now, but I still want it in writing. That section must be provided. If it is not, I can tell you it's not moving to the next step.
Just a clarification for the board members, a benefit, the HPZ review fees have been paid.
It's showing in my system that it's not been paid. It is due.
No, what you're seeing is the full construction review, which was triggered by the TDC website to enter a sub-record for the HPZ review. But I've actually paid the $200 and I think it's $208 or $209 for the HPZ review.
Okay.
I'm going to stop that particular thread of conversation. The board is not interested in who's paid who. Michael is, and for good reason. and so you guys can resolve that offline in the interest of time. But I will say that what specifically Michael is asking for with respect to some of the criteria, written criteria that's part of the checklist, having to do with just checking off how this design complies with certain code requirements, which is what he's asking, does need to happen to him before he'll schedule you for PRS, whether the fee's been paid or not. I'm just saying that's going to happen. We're more flexible at this point on that, but I think it's a question that he brings up for good reason, because the code does require some discussion on that topic. And before this finally gets approved, all your drawings get approved, all those written documents need to be in Michael's hands. And that's, I think, all he's saying.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah. Okay. So I would suggest that you do have elements in this design that you and Bill have considered that differentiate this building from the forward building. I'm not approving or disapproving of that, but I think what Michael is saying is you need to kind of write that down on a piece of paper.
Okay, may I speak to that for a minute?
Sure, absolutely.
So, Michael,
Yes,
so what I heard you describe was what is called the design narrative,
yes, sir.
and then a written project description,
Yes, sir.
and then I believe an aerial photograph,
Yes, sir.
and then photos of the surrounding area, which we did provide tonight.
Yes, sir.
And we've got the elevations of the existing structures, we've got the development zone map, and then we don't have the Arizona Historic Property Inventory form. Is that something we need to include?
Yes, sir.
And I think the project description, the design narrative, and the historic property inventory form, we can easily get and
Okay.
add that to the package.
That'd be great.
Okay. And then I think that east porch is going to play a big part in defining that differentiation you're looking for.
So
we can comment on the material simplification that plays down from original detailing, from, let's say, historic detailing. The way I've always handled historic structures was to play that down. If you're going to do something that looks like the historic structure, then you play it down with the details so that a trained eye can see that it's not historic. Cut it. Okay.
that's the idea. So. Okay. Kind of watching the clock here. So I believe we were about to have Jim make a run at a motion.
I'm prepared to do so.
Thank you, sir.
I move that we approve the plans as submitted with the following clarifications. That the garage door is a sliding door that will utilize.
No. You said sliding, back up and say it again.
Is that the appropriate term of phrase?
Rolling.
Rolling door, thank you.
I'm just stating that's the whole redo that would be
Let me
required.
back up from beginning. I propose that the board approve the plans as submitting with the garage door be a rolling door with a similar pattern as presented. That the that the east facing second floor 14-foot by 8-inch clear glass space be allow for either a swinging door or sliding door entry. That's it. I think you guys did a great job. It's a beautiful project.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we
Jim,
have a second?
did you forget to say that they can do the fence as a minor review?
Oh,
I was gonna actually say we have to back up and do that too.
okay, excuse me. Let me add to my motion that the fence references associated with the plans can be handled through a minor review during the construction process or during some subsequent process prior to final permit approval. Is that the right term of use? But anyway,
I
we can kick-
second it.
thank you, Sarah.
We have a motion.
Thank you. Holy cow.
Let me just make my final note. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
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 Block, aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
Greg? Greg? I think we got everybody. Okay. Thank you all very much. And thank you guys, you know, Bill, Stacy, and everybody, good luck.
Thank you.
Michael, do you want to kind of do them a quick favor and tell them what the next steps are?
Yeah, the next step is I've told you exactly what is still lacking in your submitter. Once you submit that, please upload that. As soon as I get that and get the legal action report from this meeting, you are going to do a similar presentation to the plans review subcommittee of the Tucson Pima County Historical Commission. This board is making a recommendation for approval with those conditions. Plans review subcommittee will review the same plans. They will also make a recommendation for approval. They may maintain the same conditions as West University has just stated here, or they can add their own additional conditions. Based on those two recommendations, I will staff the case with my director and my supervisors, and then the director is going to make a decision. The director can decide to adopt or maintain all the conditions that have been made by West University and Plans Review Subcommittee. The director can set aside all those recommendations and make an independent decision, or the director can, at the director's discretion, can send the case back to a further review. I hope that will not be the case. Once the decision is made, an approval notice will be sent out to you. There is an appeal period of 14 days from the day that the director's decision is signed. The appeal works in this way, which means West University can, they say, people of record, which means the West University Historic Preservation can do it, or Plans Review Subcommittee, or you as the owner of the property can actually appeal the decision. Typically, the appeal is, if it is denied, then you can appeal, or if it is approved and some conditions are given which you don't think that they are necessary, you can call me and say, hey, this condition like this, I don't think this is what is meant. We can actually go back and review that. That is how it works. Once the appeal period elapses, then you will then proceed to go to the permitting process. And within this time, if you have any questions or doubt of anything, feel free to please contact our Historic Preservation Office. Or you can contact me directly. That's fine.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Welcome, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Good luck, guys. And we'll see you later to talk about the fence. Okay?
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Have a good
Okay.
night.
Thank
So
you.
Michael, I haven't seen anyone join.
No,
Uh,
there's nobody for the first case, so
All right,
yes.
all right, so no applicants. All right. Brings me to item 5 on the agenda. WUZAB design guidelines. So for the board members, Michael and myself and Jim met with the plans review subcommittee today at 1 o'clock. And we went through the first, I don't know, 50 pages or so of the design guides with the PRS. PRS had some very helpful comments. It was a very constructive conversation. I'll give Michael and Jim an opportunity here in a moment to comment. And I took some notes that I'm going to make. So I'm going to make a few revisions based on their comments, because I feel their comments were constructive and worth incorporating. And then at some future date, my takeaway was they recognize that there's a good reason to schedule as soon as possible in 2025 a conclusion of the last 10 pages or so, and then a vote on agreeing to incorporate that stuff, and then we can move on, as we've talked about here in the recent past, to work on the formatting and the figures and all that other crap, which nobody needs to comment on. We just need to get it done. So it was very good, and I appreciate, Michael, you getting us on the agenda, and I appreciate the PRS agreeing to do a special meeting on our behalf. So I don't know, Jim, Michael, do you have any comments for the board?
Let Jim go first.
Rick did a great job of going through our comments. Quite frankly, all their comments were constructive and positive. No hiccups, nothing that, a few things that were confusing to them. When we heard their comments, we recognized they were confusing as well. It was a totally constructive experience. We got to page 50, I think 6, but there's a lot in the meat of the changes are subsequent. But we did get through, we got through porches, we got through windows, we got through fencing.
Yeah.
So we're on the downhill slide. I think everyone who's worked on those guidelines should be applauded for the work they've done. Thoughtfulness. PRS was good. Boy, they have some really detailed brains on that committee. They were catching some they were catching some nuance that there's no way I would have caught in my career, but I've never been a detail guy myself. So but the next meeting is going to be a slog, getting through the rest of it. And Rick is going to, between he and I, we're going to tune that up to make it a little easier for him, because that formatting situation was kind of aggravating, but that's here nor there. And Rick and I will get that solved before we have to approach them again. And then Michael's guidance and shepherding was really quite good. Thank you, Michael, for doing that. It's not the light at the end of the tunnel isn't a pinhole now. It's a pretty big light to see. And thank you, Rick, for shepherding this thing through. Geez, I look back, it's been many years that we've been fussing with this thing, and we're about ready. And sure enough, the day it's approved, we're going to need to amend it again. It's just the nature of the beast, because one of the things we noticed was that the URLs for all our links is going to change the day we publish them. So,
right, and the city by the end of the year, next year, will have put into the UDC the things associated with ADUs, which we can't anticipate. So it's a thing. It's going to happen, and we'll have to embrace it in our guidelines. So there'll be hopefully much easier, slighter review that we can do in the second, third quarter next year. It's whenever the ADU stuff actually makes it into the UDC. It's premature to guess what it would be. So
But we think we'll get them approved prior to that second, third quarter review?
I believe so. I mean, I'm gonna give it over to Michael here. He's got probably a comment or two from today's meeting, but once the PRS says, yeah, we're good with this, and then we need to do our formatting stuff, so there's calendar time for that. Mayor and council are going to be like, it does need to go to mayor and council. It needs to go, well, the director needs to say it's okay, and then it needs to go to mayor and council. Michael will correct me on all that. But those folk aren't going to have any opinion. They'll just say, yeah. So Michael, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, members of the board, I want to thank everybody who participated in this process. Jim and Rick were very wonderful today. They made the job kind of easy for PRS today. I like the fact that they were now able to compress the document to just highlight the sections that needed the attention, unlike the first document which we had. Even though it was given to me late, but I made sure it got to them, and they were able to look at it within that short time and made all the comments that they did. Jim and Rick were your ambassadors. They answered and presented what your thought process was. And I believe they were taking notes on what PRS was bringing out. As Rick said, they brought out some very interesting things that would help make your guidelines more user-friendly in terms of language, in terms of just understanding, in terms of just continue with historic preservation. And from the staff point of view, we are going to encourage the other boards who are also working on their design guidelines to kind of maybe mirror what was done today, so that that kind of presentation may also be imitated. It makes it easier for PRS. It is the first time in my time here that I see that a design guideline comes to PRS. We're looking at it. I think it will be finalized by the second take on this, because we did most of it today. By the time you come the next time, I believe that will be game over, which is really the first time that design guideline comes. And they didn't even take the full time. We're hoping to do 1.5 hours. We started at 1 o'clock, expected to be finished by 2:30 that Ricky was going to leave. But we actually finished that review before that time. So I want to thank Rick and Jim for what they did, and to thank the whole board for what you've done. It would be myself and Maria and Dan who will try to make sure that we move this thing along as quickly as we can. That's all I can say to you, but thank you for the good job.
And thank you, Michael, for getting it on the agenda, being as how you said it wasn't going to be possible this year.
We tried. But I'm also thankful to PRS for making a special exception, because they had that meeting today, Tuesday at 1 o'clock. They are having their regular meeting on Thursday. So this was actually a special meeting that PRS, once we explained your frustration to them, they were willing to do a special meeting to them. So special thanks actually goes to PRS for accepting to do the special meeting. And they wanted the West University Design Guideline to be a standalone item. That is why you saw the agenda today was just West University Design Guidelines.
So we're through the first 50 pages. We're only looking at the last 10. So once those changes are made, Rick, those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
what I got to do procedurally, I think, is I got to write up the comments that I got, which are not, it's not horrible. I mean, in terms of the quantity, but they were very useful. I think we want to capture them. And I think, Michael, I need to quickly run them by the board, and I would
Yeah.
like to have a conversation about how we do that without having a meeting, because we're not gonna have another meeting until a month from now.
You
So-
can actually, Mr. Chair, I suggest that you can do a special meeting for that. You don't have
Right.
to wait for the regular meeting. I do not want us to violate the open meeting law. So my
Correct.
suggestion would be that you can just organize, we can schedule a special meeting, which will just be for the design guidelines. So you can share, you can sit as a board and talk about it, about the changes that were discussed and stuff like that, rather than trying to do other things that will be a violation.
Yeah, I think we could do that as a board in a 30-minute meeting.
Yeah.
Knowing
But
what the
it has-
comments are.
Yeah,
But I do believe the board, I need to be able to go back to PRS and say, the board looked at your comments, I wrote them up, here's what they are, they approved. Done. So,
So, but
There's
on the
not a-
meeting minutes from this meeting that you guys held today, it'll say it's a pending item, it didn't get completed. There won't be notes to summarize other than the video of the discussion.
I don't know how PRS operates. I can tell you
We
that I
have
have a
been
bunch
to-
of notes.
There will be a legal action report and minutes, which will be shared to you. And there's also the video and things that if any of you wants to listen to the conversation and what transpired, that.
Yeah, I think Lou, though, the very narrowly specific answer is there'll be a LAR, and the LAR will say, hey, we had a great conversation about the Who's that design guidelines. We're going to pick it up again in January, and that'll be it. So you're going to want my notes, and if you want, you can listen to the video, because they do the same thing we do, where they post a video, I don't know, at
Yes.
some point after the meeting.
Yeah, it's just still an open action item. We didn't move, like procedurally, it still didn't go anywhere. We started the conversation. We have yet to do
That's
another
true.
conversation.
You are exactly, you are correct. You are
Okay,
correct, sir.
just checking.
Yep. We have to, when we never thought we would actually, in fact, the meeting started, since you brought that up, with the acting chair, it wasn't Terry, it was, I forgot her name.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jan, saying that the way the agenda was structured, it was a
It was a courtesy review.
It was yeah, it's kind of like a courtesy review. That's not actually the technical term they use, but that's exactly what it was. It was a review. We're going to go through all these comments. We're going to give you comments back, and you can do those. And then, but the approval would be a subsequent meeting.
Right, so we have 3 more meetings. We have a meeting to get the approval, then the board meeting approval, then back to mayor and council for a blessing.
Well, when once it gets to that level, it's no longer you are not going to have another meeting at that point, because it's basically the next meeting that you have is one that I'm recommending with Rick, that people should have a special meeting to discuss the feedback from PROS so that everybody is on the same page. And then once we schedule you again, which will be a second meeting, probably at that time we'll schedule it for an action. Today was just for discussion.
Right.
Then at that point, PROS would then finish the rest of the 10 pages. And of the 10 pages that we're talking about, based on what I saw, there are just a few items that will be looked at. It's not reading all the pages.
But I think to get to the act, because Lou's just asking for good reason, some very specific, like technical aspects of how this goes forward. So we need to have one more conversation over the comments that we got back. So that's one meeting. It'll be a special meeting. Then we go back to PRS. PRS agreed, unless Terry overrules this, which I don't think she will, that at the next meeting we have with them, when we finish the last, whatever it is, 10 pages, that they will vote. So
Yes.
then they'll be done.
Yes.
That's 2 meetings, second meeting.
Yep.
And then that goes to the director, who and then turns it over. And that's not a meeting, that's a decision. And then it goes to mayor and council. The director presents to mayor and council. And that is a meeting, but we're not there. Mayor and council says, the director said yada yada, and they say yay yay, and that's it. So there's
Yeah,
two,
because most more often than not, the mayor and council, they take it as a study section item.
but they won't, we aren't presenting,
No,
city is presenting.
yes,
And mayor and council are gonna be like wanting to like wonder, besides the fact we have to vote on this, is there anything we need to discuss? And there's no controversy here. I mean, we all know that. So I think, Lou, it is technically the way I just said it, it's probably 4 meetings, only 2 of which will participate in, and the other 2 are just the, you know, the.
Well, yeah, I
steps.
just didn't want to have a meeting between our board before we get through the second meeting where we get the last 10 pages done.
well, if you still want to keep it until you go and get the last 10 pages before,
we can-
up
we
to
can-
you, whatever you choose to do.
We can do that. That's an interesting point, Lou, that, I mean, so we can go meet with. the
Because they're
PRS
not
again.
looking at it holistically until the end, so should we take that same approach?
They are looking at it piecemeal.
Because today was just a
also.
courtesy review. It wasn't an actual study session, or it wasn't a full review.
No, it was. It was a discussion. This is how design guidelines work. You were discussing and getting the feedback until when they think that everything is complete, then there will be a vote. That is why it was not spelled out today for an action, because there was no need for that.
Here's
Right.
kind of my way of saying what Michael just said, is the way we left it with the PRS was, I was gonna write up the comments in literal from to format, run it by you guys, assuming there's no other changes, and then give that to the PRS, and then they would schedule a meeting where they would have reviewed those comments and said, yep, we're good with those, because that's what they're gonna say. You don't have to, but that is, and then we review the next, whatever, 10 pages. And at the end of that meeting, just like we do with our meetings here, they would say, given, the motion is, given the agreement on the comments we have for these last 10 pages, we vote to approve, and they'd be done. So there's only one more PRS meeting, whether we meet beforehand or after. But I think it's better to meet beforehand, because I think PRS will find it easier to do I approve what WUZAB said they were going to do, with the caveat of these extra things for page 57, 62, and 30, you know, whatever, and we're done.
Cool.
And
Can I
then
ask a
move forward.
question of you, Michael, in regards to the other historic neighborhoods and them going through the process? I saw Historic Barrio has also been trying to get their design guidelines through for a while, and I see
Yeah.
they're also on the agenda. Are we trying to standardize across the historic neighborhoods?
No,
No,
no.
Is there a reason that they've all been delayed?
They have not been delayed, sir. The point is, each neighborhood, each advisory board, each historic preservation zone, they are responsible for updating their own design guidelines. We have not delayed anything.
Well, sorry to use the delayed because that's accusatory, but I'm saying they've also been trying since June to move theirs forward to a discussion. It looks like they also are having a discussion with PRS. Is that correct?
That's not correct.
Oh, I thought I saw them on an agenda with the Barrio Historico design guides.
No, it has not been on the agenda, sir.
Okay, I was just trying to chase that one back from June. I'm just trying to understand the pace of these because
Okay.
some items seem to get lost.
No.
Like I know they don't. I'm just trying to understand.
Okay, sir. If I
So
can
we'll be
see-
good. We'll check out of this one. We know what we're doing with WUZAB. I was just wondering if the city had any interest in trying to make sure that they're not doing conflicting design standards, because I believe PRS is just using the federal historic guidelines and filtering everything through that as a parent. That's what it says in their directives. And so I'm just
That is
trying to
not-
understand
That is
where,
not true, sir. That is not true, sir. Jim and Reed can tell you what they went through today. And they,
yes,
from their experience, you will know that they are looking at the Unified Development Code. They are looking at your previous design guidelines, what was there before. They are looking at the Unified Development Code. They are looking at the technical standard manual. So
yes.
it's not.
I understand, Michael. I appreciate it. I didn't mean to like try to be accusatory towards you. That's not my thing. I'm just kind of looking at if it takes 6 to 9 months to get a document through the process. And that's with 6 to 9 months previous having had discussions, there seems to be a challenge in that system. And so all I'm trying to do from an end user's perspective is look at when was it originally, like today's thing. They had a courtesy review a while ago for the pool, and they come back. But Michael, that was not set up for us today. There was no called out specifications for any of the things that we review. And you called it out that they didn't update what they were supposed to have. But we're now spending time on projects that aren't set up to be in front of us for decisions. And then we're busy. So I apologize for my frustration, and I'll just take this as I'm good and I don't necessarily need a response. It just seems that as I chased back through the history on a lot of items, going back through us, PRS, and other development zones, I can't figure out what an SLA for a consumer is to come in, even for the example we did of relinquishing our need for repairs on roofs. We still have people waiting for roof repairs from August. And so it's just, I'm trying to understand what we as a committee, like today, I love Jim's advocacy for let's just get something on the board so we don't have to have these people come back. But they shouldn't make it to us without what we want as a standard. And I don't know if that's us or that's the neighborhood association or that's the city.
Lou,
Tell me.
say something.
Go ahead, Jim.
So Lou, you know, I think one thing that I've heard, and that, I mean, it seems like you probably know more about this than myself, but our design guidelines make everyone else's look like shit. I'm going to put that on the record in the most clearest terms. We have the best design guidelines of any of the historic preservation zones. And so when we had to amend ours, it was a simple lift. And everyone else is not in the same position. And so
But is the
they're having
city
to
wanting them
endure
in the
a
same
longer
position?
and more lengthy process? That's all I would say. I'm not trying to defend what the city is, but I'm just saying that's why we're ahead of everyone else with respect to this.
Okay, thank you.
It is also my observation too, being, you know, Jim and Michael and Maria, I know you're still on the line too. The wheels turn slowly in government for, you know, whether you think it's a good reason or a bad reason, they do. And there are reasons why there are large consensuses needed to be built, and there's reasons why there's reviews on reviews and reviews, you know, and I know you understand that too. And this stuff does sometimes take ridiculously painfully long. And in the context of what one might be used to, say, in, you know, commercial industry or whatever. But I do also echo the board, the PRS, I'm sorry, very clearly in today's conversation, I know this from other conversations I've had with them, they get inputs from all the advisory boards, USAD and Presidio and, you know, whatnot. And I do believe, you know, just from today's conversation, they would like to see, you know, some, I don't know. I mean, I'll twist on what Jim just said. I think they'd like it if the guidelines from the other HPZs were as thorough as ours are, and they're not. They're not, and in some cases they're like 5 pages long. It's difficult for the city to enforce to an HPZ to say, hey, you all need to standardize around West University. And they don't have they're not going to do that. They're just not. Whether they should or they shouldn't is arguable over a beer, but they're not going to do that. So we're all kind of volunteers in these organizations. So the city, if they went back to Armory Park and said, you know, you need to make your guidelines look like WUSABs, the whole board could just say, screw it, I'm not going to do that.
Part of my point is we are an advisory board set up for the city. As
Yes.
we've discussed over the last 2 or 3, we have no teeth as an advisory board because the PRC can either
Yeah.
accept, reject, or pass on any recommendation we make. And
Well, the
subsequently up the hill,
PRS is
so
an
can,
advisory board as well, I must say.
pardon me?
The PRS is also an advisory board.
Exactly.
Only the director makes the final decision, you know, which 99 times out of 100 is what
Everybody has recommended.
everybody has recommended. And I would say 90 times out of 100, the PRS agrees with what the advisory boards say. And I'm, you know, making those
Yeah,
numbers up.
I've just struggled to find any data that pans some of that out coming from the
Yeah.
initial record of a submission and chasing it backwards through LARS. I'm just not finding, you know, Michael, is there a dashboard that says, you know, our average time?
We have a review time frame, if that's what you're asking me.
Well, you have an SLA, but from like, do you have a clock ticking from a consumer comes in to put in a permit request for a new roof? They do it twice, once for the roof, once for the historic review, and they have their documents in there. How long till they reasonably can expect to make it through the process?
That is why I'm saying that there's a time frame for every review.
Yes.
Once you submit your application, once it comes in, there's NAGOV today tells you when the staff review is due. This review is due. This review is due. So every application comes in and has a time frame, if that's what you are asking.
Right, but on your side, it's a monthly update. There's not a 15-day clock that ticks when it hits your desk, correct?
It's a monthly update because the meeting is only monthly. I do 2 weeks update to plans review subcommittee because they meet twice a month. I do an update to the advisory board because they meet once a month.
Understood, but that's when the only updates that you give back to the people who are requesting. So it's not just an update to the advisory board, it's an update in the system.
No, sir. I am in constant contact with whoever has submitted application, either by the comments that we send out to them, or by email, or by phone call. We do not make monthly.
I understand. I see the comments only come out monthly in the system. So I assume that it's monthly on your side as well.
No, sir. That is
Okay,
not.
understood. I'll take this offline with you, and if there's something I can look at that helps me navigate that, that would be super helpful.
Hey, Rick, can
And
we?
I'm sorry, Sarah,
can
I'll
we-
let you go.
Yeah, no, this is just not, this is not what we do on these meetings, and this is getting to be a bit lengthy. So
Yeah,
if we can do this at another time, that would be great.
I was about to go there, and I think Lou was about to go there as well. It is 7:54 p.m. Very good discussion. Michael, staff updates, future agenda items, anything we need to close out on? Items 6 and 7 on the agenda.
Maria is here. I will defer the staff update to Maria, please.
Mr. Chair, members of the WUSAP, a meeting or two ago, Mr. Glock requested the city attorney's office to attend a WUSAP meeting
Yes.
to talk about the WUSAP's purview in relationship to the proposed power lines
Correct.
planned by TEP. TEP has now filed the special exception requests for
Correct.
the
Well, some of them,
proposed.
yes.
Yeah, at least the ones that we have received, and let me just put them in the chat. So you have those activity numbers in case you don't have them, or you would like to access the information. All the application is there, and so anyway, so at least for the ones that they have submitted, none of them go through an HPZ neighborhood.
We're aware of that, Maria.
Okay.
So what I'm not sure where this conversation might really wind up going, but so what TEP is doing is a logical, legal step 1, step 2, step 3. They're at step 2 on the applications, and step 2 is just intersections that they're crossing, which is what I think you have, one of the latest things you have. Ultimately, step 3 is to zip down through the middle of West University. They just haven't filed it yet, but that is what they're going to do. And all Jim was trying to do is say, well, what is WUZAB's role when they do that? Because that is what they're going to do. They've already been, all the public hearings, all the other public discussion. That's the next step. Once they get the intersections approved, they will next go for the approval to go down Euclid and other streets.
Well, I went through the code, and it does include utility lines if are within the HPZ to go through historic preservation review.
Okay.
So, Michael, unless I read the code wrong, they will need to go through if that's the case, right? If they actually go through an HPZ neighborhood, they will need to go through the applicable advisory board.
Yes.
And the PRS, and then the director will need to make a decision.
So I will preempt what Jim is about to do when he goes off mute. That is what I expect. And what we wanted before any of this happened, because it is inevitably happening, the train has already left the station, they're rolling down the tracks, is a conversation with the city, the appropriate city office, and we believe it's this, city attorney's office, doesn't have to be city attorney, over, what role do we have here when it comes before us? Because it's not like we're deciding on whether the windows should be wood clad or not. It's
exactly. And I'm not familiar with your design guidelines.
They
I don't know if your design guidelines
of,
include anything about utilities.
No, they don't. And so
because they're poles and they're wires, right?
We can get them in before it goes to PRS, Rick. Could do a whole section.
But that is a good point. I mean, it would come to you, but then what do you review it against?
Correct.
Right. So it would be just in terms of context in the neighborhood. I mean, I'm it's not like you're replacing historic poles or anything like that.
We're not replacing historic poles, but these massive poles are going to go in the front yard of historic buildings, like where we're not allowed to put a fence of a certain height. So what about a pole that's 100 feet tall? So we're just trying to understand what our guidance is, because there's nothing in the guidelines about it, and yet these things are going to go in the HPZ. And I believe, as you said, I believe the city will have to flick it into a design process where it goes to the WUZAB and then ultimately to PRS and then back to the director. And we could say, yeah, don't do that. Or I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we're judging it against. So that's
Are there,
all.
in your neighborhood specifically, do you have above ground power lines? That's the other thing I was thinking. Like in my neighborhood, it's not a historic neighborhood, but all of the above ground lines run on the alleyway. You don't see them.
That's not what TEP's plan is. The TEP's plan is to run them down Euclid Avenue on the west side of Euclid in the front yards of contributing properties.
Okay.
So I don't know what to do with that. I mean, I could say no, I guess, but I mean, I don't know what to do. So that's all we were looking for, was a conversation over what role do the historic boards, us and PRS for that matter, have in this? Because there's, the only thing I know to judge it against is putting a 7-foot diameter steel 100-foot tall pole in front of a contributing historic property. Does that obstruct the view of the historic property? Which I think the answer is yes.
Mhm. Okay, let me discuss with my superiors. I contacted the city attorney's office.
I'm
And
sure they don't want to
they're-
talk to us at all.
Yeah, no, they said whenever, you guys need me to go in, I'll go in and talk. To the WUSAB, Corin Manning, our director, was just trying to better understand.
Sure. And I'm,
where
by the
you were
way, if
coming
Corin wants to
from.
give me a call, I know Corin knows me. I'm happy to
Mhm.
kind of flesh it out a little bit more with her. We're just trying to make sure that we're staying within our roles. And we don't know what they are in this case. This is kind of out of family.
Okay,
Okay.
so let me convey the message again.
Okay, thank you. I
But
appreciate that.
the city attorney's office is more than willing to come to.
I'm sure they would be, but I understand why they want to have an understanding of what it is we really want to talk about. This is
Okay.
not a neighborhood association complaining about polls. This is the city board just trying to understand, what are we reviewing?
Okay.
What criteria are we reviewing this against? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, anything else? Maria, Michael?
No, just wishing
right.
everybody a wonderful holiday
Have a
season.
happy holiday, everybody. Yeah, we'll
Yes.
see you on the other side of that. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate the conversations we had tonight. I know we've gone a little long. It is 8:02 and we stand adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.
Good night, everybody.